And here we go. Welcome everybody to BioBridge, where we talk about connecting Japan to the rest of the world. And today we're doing it at a different time. Normally we do it at night where I'm kind of a bit lower energy, but today I'm fired up. Oh boy, you don't want to see me fired up. Oh, welcome everybody again. My name is Tetsu Young, and I've got my partner in crime, Ibrahim. How are you doing, Ibrahim?
Oh, doing well. And I'm the opposite. I'm a night owl, so my energy is low, and usually higher. And I guess I'm not really that high at the end either. So
you do not sleep. Now we have Stefan as a guest for the very first session this year. And Happy New Year. 明けましておめでとうございます。
明けましておめでとうございます。今年もよろしくお願いします。And I'm very happy to be here. And this is going to be fun. And I hope for the listeners and viewers that it will be useful. And do you have people can chat in questions?
We don't do this for usefulness. We do this for fun.
But usefulness is fun.
There you go.
Yeah, we do have a chat function. It's on LinkedIn, so people can comment on LinkedIn and YouTube as well, or no, Tetsu?
Yes.
Yeah, YouTube as well. Yeah, so we do get live comments if anyone wants to ask live comments.
So, yeah, because I love questions that come, and you have no idea what's coming next, and that is always a wonderful challenge. I like that. Go in and see what
challenge me, man. I'll give you something you don't expect. So, but first, right at the beginning, I mean, Stefan Sandstrom, that doesn't sound Japanese. Who are you?
Well, I do. Today, in this modern society, it's very common that you identify as whatever you want. So I identify as Japanese. I know I may not look completely Japanese, but yeah, that's that. I don't think that's a requirement. So I was born and raised in Sweden in the north. I studied chemical engineering and medicine. I never worked in those fields. I only did business and with a focus on selling and commercialization. And that's been with me all my life. By lucky coincidence, I happened to stumble over a project that needed help. And it was an industrial company in Sweden that was, they simply had to expand cross-border. And I realized how much I loved working with different cultures, trying to figure out where the red tape is, and just how do I complain without them being upset. The Fingerspitzengefühl that you need, the tactfulness, and also when do you need to draw the line yourself, and how do you do that? And
what mistake you made in your life to mistakenly become a doctor? What a failure.
I don't know but I have it gave me a lot of knowledge and a deep understanding of disease. So working now with market entry in Japan for these very complex companies with complex services and complex products, you can't really put an MBA student on that work, because an Excel spreadsheet will only help you this little. You need to build relationships, you need to speak to scientists, you need to have that part apart from the business part. So I think it was a lucky mistake, a serendipitous one. I had no idea I would end up in Japan, but then I met this woman, and
always a woman.
Always a woman involved.
Well, she met the man, so I guess.
Oh. Dangerous. Oh, yeah, you better be drinking.
So I'm sorry, I've been training, and it's cold, so I have the air conditioning on, so it's really, really dry air. So I will be drinking throughout, sorry.
Wow. Cold? Don't tell me about cold. What are we expecting, Ibrahim, this weekend?
I know. What is it? Montreal is like -30 or something this coming weekend. Celsius.
That's where I come from, also up in the north of Sweden.
That's right.
It's strange to call +3 degrees cold, but when you sit and work all day and there is no insulation and no central heating, it is cold because you freeze from the inside out.
Exactly. I like the Canadian winter better than the Japanese winter, honestly. But anyway, you were saying you mistakenly became a doctor.
Yeah.
Two MDs in the house and a fake doctor right here.
I didn't quite get all the way to be a clinician because Japan happened. But I chose medicine as the second.
Another big mistake in your life.
I know.
But, yeah, and of course, what comes with that kind of education is you get a lot of what we in Sweden call student debt. So the government lets you borrow money. The education in itself is for free, but you need to sustain your life during the time you do the education. And I was raising 4 children at the time, so it was a tough life situation. And when I speak to my children, they honestly say, and I think that is true, that it was more tough for them. But as we say in Japan, shoganai, it had to be done and couldn't be done in a different way.
Love that.
4 children. Wow.
And you're competing there, right, Tetsu?
And 1 bonus boy on top of that.
Oh, after.
No, I raised him from when he was 6.
Oh, okay.
Wow. So you have 5.
Yeah, I think of them as 5 kids. And I also have 5 grandchildren, which they are the cutest beings in this world, by far.
Of course. That's incredible. Oh, wow. Now my respect for you has heightened significantly now.
I know.
Because he remained sane after the fact, right? And
well, if you ask my wife, maybe she would have some issues with that. But yeah,
so you got to Japan in your, I don't know, your 20s or 30s.
No,
but you
in
just
my 40s.
Oh, wow. How old are you, man? You're like 90 or something?
I'm turning 60 soon.
Wow. Do not look like it. Good for you, man. I think you said you still practice kendo.
Yeah. So in 2 years' time, I will try for 7th dan, which is a nice thing.
I don't know what level that is, but some of these martial arts you go up, and then some of those you go down. Like the lower the number, the better it is, and all these.
Yeah.
Other than black belt and white belt, all the other colors in between, I don't know.
So 7th dan in kendo, it is master level.
You are indeed a master.
Not yet. And
other spheres of your life.
Sorry?
In other spheres of your life, you're definitely a master.
I don't know. Well, when it comes to drinking wine, maybe, or
you're leading my questions to different areas. We haven't even talked.
Let's move on to life science. Conducting business in Japan. That is maybe that's why people are here listening.
Sure. So you started out, so I'll help you with that. So you started out by accident with a Swedish company that was looking for international business, and this involved Japan as well. Is that right, or did I miss?
No. So my career change in medicine. At the end of the curriculum, you're supposed to do a half a semester of scientific study, because there is a problem to recruit medical doctors to become PhDs. And we need those also. We need all kinds. And so that was part of their trying to make MDs interested in the scientific part. And I was offered to do it in Japan. And of course I said yes immediately, because I can go there and play kendo. That was my honest thought. And I came here. I did my study on the Vibra cholera genome and exchange of plasmids. Unfortunately, everything we tried didn't work. And the professor said that, well, it's not so bad because we have now figured out more things that don't work. And that's also part of science. So we figured out a lot of things that didn't work. And I did a lot of kendo, and I met this wonderful woman. And we got married within a year, and I decided to stay. It was not a difficult choice. Of course, from my Swedish family point of view, of course, that hurt. But that's how I ended up here. And being in a new place, you need to figure out, how do I make my money? How do I do this? And I've been an entrepreneur for all of my life, so that was not a difficult choice. I decided not to do the IKEA or Volvo or McDonald's thing, not connect to the embassy and the embassy people. I thought, I can do this. I mean, how difficult can it be? Yeah, it was difficult. I suffered for quite a few years. Luckily, my wife agreed to support me. Under duress, maybe I could say. But it took a few years to figure out exactly where I would fit in and where my strengths would be useful. I first thought I would help Japanese companies to establish themselves in Europe, or to strengthen their European presence, because Europe is fragmented and complex in its own ways. After 2 years of doing that, I had sent out 3 business offers, and they were all declined. And they went with Ernst & Young and similar things, because Japanese companies are inherently, vehemently risk averse.
Yes.
As you know. And there's, of course, many stories behind the reason.
I mean, not early 2000s or late 90s? Oh.
No, this was 15 years ago only.
Oh, so 2010. Okay.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, this widening of the mindset is quite recent, I think. I mean, really, they've been saying globalization for like decades, but
they call it internationalization, which is a different thing.
What's that?
They call it internationalization, which is a very different thing from globalization. So
okay,
right. Yeah, we'd love to hear the difference.
So internationalization is more in the Japanese mindset. I would say it was more about how they could interact, like the JBA, the Japan Bioindustry Association. They would have international members, but not. It was more like Japan reaching out to make money in different markets, not at all inviting other companies and organizations to take a share of the Japanese market. They had a lot of protectionist, I would say, walls in place. And it was actually Abe, Prime Minister Abe, with his Abenomics, that tore down these walls and opened up Japan. Mm-hmm. And I can only say, of course, it has been painful in some areas, but I think it's going to be proven that those pains are very small compared to the pains that would have come at a later stage if you had not done this, because the more you protect your internal market, the less competitive it will be on the global stage. And there will be one day when it just implodes. So it is painful, especially for those who are complacent. You know, fat cats, they are not the strongest ones to catch mice. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, sorry to interrupt. I am so high.
With a word of wisdom. Freedom. Oh, wisdom. What am I saying? Freedom.
I think it's too early for you, Tetsu.
It is. But hey, fat cats don't catch mice. I mean,
I like that.
Yeah. That's a great one. So, indeed, Japan, it's taken time. Even in the 90s, when they opened up to FDI, foreign direct investment. Before that, we didn't even know the word gaishi was, really became popular in those days. Before that, foreign companies, it was very, very few. And now it's everywhere. And now you go to a Naishike or a Gaishike company, right? All these things have now become more popular, and more foreign companies are coming in, and foreign workers are in Japan. They're everywhere now.
Yes.
It's all quite recent. It's all a big rise recently, which is why I say, they've been saying globalization forever.
Yeah.
It's internationalization, not internalization, but yeah, it's good. It's good for business. It's good to have competition. It's good so that the fat cat has to come down from the throne and go out and hunt. So I'm fully aligned with all that.
Yeah, and we have also seen some of the zombie companies go bust because, and I think for society and also for the people who work in those companies, that is a very, very good thing, because you lock up a lot of talent into achieving nothing.
Yes.
There's no extra output. There's just this zombie sustained existence that doesn't do much. It's like brain dead.
Oh my God, we're already 17 minutes into the meeting, but I wish we have like 3 hours to talk about this.
Yeah, there are so many things that
structures in the Japanese companies are not, let's say, aligned for either party, workers or the employers. Lots of value destruction that it just pains me, because the companies are great. They have great intentions, but the incentives are not aligned in a way that benefits both parties. One good example is you can't fire people. And this is,
you can, but difficult.
yeah, of course, but it carries a very, very big social cost, and so
it's stigmatizing for the
they
company.
prefer to carry people on their payroll, even though they have to send them off to like some remote corners of nowhere, and the people still cling on to the companies because they don't, they have this loyalty to the company, and they don't, I guess, know otherwise, because they've joined the company since they graduated university or high school, and then they just don't know anything else. That's like their family. All these things are very difficult. It's very costly to the company, and I wish they would spend that same resource to help the employees to transition to another better place, because they're all very talented people. There's no doubt in my mind that these are very talented people, but sent to a bad place that's not aligned with his skills, and now he's wasting away at the company's cost. So the same resources can be applied, I think. And maybe I'm saying some very controversial stuff. I'm going to get canceled for this, but it's what I think.
No, I don't think that is controversial at all. It's because at the end of the day, as human beings, we enjoy being useful.
Yes.
And
yes.
Coming to the work, and it's just great. A company that is growing, you have this energy everywhere. A company that is struggling, you have no budget for anything. There are budget cuts. You have to find a cheaper toilet paper. It is no fun to work in a company that is not thriving, and to own shares in a company that isn't thriving. I mean, you don't earn anything from it. And I really think that some more companies need to go, and I'm not going to tell you which ones I think, but I mean, you can ask ChatGPT.
Well, we'll speak in generalities, right? On averages. But yeah, but it's changing very fast, though. I do see, both sides, the employers and the employees. There's a huge culture change going on right now by necessity, and these practices from even 5-10 years ago are, I think, changing very rapidly by necessity. I used to say this to my colleagues, before, the efforts that you put into whatever you're doing, chemistry or biology, or take just a bit and improve your international skills. Starting with English, obviously, but that's a very obvious one. But other than that, the communication skills, how you deal with people from abroad, all these will be so useful when that day comes that the company cannot protect you. Lifetime employment is a great ideal, but doesn't mean your company is going to be able to give you that protection forever.
There are many aspects to this, and so when I write things on LinkedIn, I get sometimes little, you get these interesting comments of people who are blinded by their own culture, and they can only see that Japan is different, or they cannot understand how does it work, because they're so slow to make a decision. How does it work to form a relationship with a company in Japan when it takes 6 months to 18 months to just get the contract signed? And my answer is always that it depends on who is in whose living room. If I want to do business with a Japanese company, then I need to adapt to their standards, their culture, their way of doing things. I cannot expect them, when I sit in their living room, that they serve me. Of course, as a guest, but they will play their game. And the same thing if I'm in Sweden or helping a company that wants to go and do business in Sweden, which hasn't happened, but if it happened, I would have to instruct them on how to behave, what to expect, and how to not behave. And actually, when I help my customers here in Japan, that is one of the first things I do. I get onboarded first. I need to understand the company and their modus operandi and best practices and stuff. But then I have to teach them, what do you expect? What can you expect from the different meetings, the different projections that we have? And before every meeting, if there is a new person, I will instruct them how to dress, how to behave, and what not to ask. I mean, never put the pig on the table, and don't discuss the pig. We all know that it exists, but in the formal meetings, we talk about all the things that we agree upon. We discuss technical features, we discuss timelines, but we don't discuss budgets. And then after the formal meeting, I will have, because I'm usually in Japan, I will have the informal meeting with my designated contact person. And we put the pig on the table, and we discuss, and we negotiate. And it can be pretty hard, but of course respectful and friendly. And when we're done, we both go back to our respective companies and tell what we learned. And ask questions, how should we proceed? And what can we give? What can we not give? And this way of having these formal meetings where we just agree upon what we agree upon, and then the informal meetings, it builds a very strong relationship. And I like this way of negotiating. I like this way of building business relationship, because when we finally get to the contract signing, and this is something that everybody that has gotten there understands, but they complain all the way to getting there. And it's like little children in the backseat. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? But when the contract is in effect, you have a Japanese partner that is there for life. They will never give you a surprise. They will pay all their dues on time, actually a little earlier. Whatever you ask them, they will reply within minutes if it's business hours. And I have had no one complain about doing business with Japanese companies after the contracts are signed. No one. But almost all of my customers have complained before the contracts are signed. Yes. It takes too much time. Why doesn't it do it faster? Stefan, you need to push harder. Mm-hmm. And all those things that don't work.
So we skipped a little bit, it seems. Yeah. So we went from you trying to get Japan out to Europe, and that was about 2 years, and you said 3 contracts that got rejected. Is that right? And then we skipped from there to what do you do now? Or like how do you or your journey from there? I'd love to hear that.
Oh, well, I usually don't think about that part because it is kind of self-evident. I found the light, and and in my case, it was.
Don't walk towards it. You're still only 60.
Yeah, so I accidentally went to a trade show, an industrial trade show with.
Okay.
Yeah, it's these serendipitous things. On
I mean, I life is full of serendipity. I mean, you know, I was talking to somebody, a college student, the other day, and you know, it's by chance. Like the professor that taught a course that you liked is why you like that specific industry sometimes or subject. It's because of the professor by chance. And
Yeah.
you know, it's like little things that just build up in serendipity. So I totally resonate with that terminology.
And you know, it's like sales. I go out and meet 50 potential clients. I know that someone will buy, but I don't know which one. And if I don't invite serendipity, nothing happens. And that is also why it's important to get to a quick no, which is something that at least Swedish people do not understand. They're just afraid of getting a no because it means rejection in the Swedish cultural context. Anyways, this seeing the light was I went to this future energy trade show with batteries and electric vehicles and solar cells and whatnot. And walking around, of course, thinking about what can I do, I saw that it was something called EU Gateway to Japan, a pavilion with 50 companies from Europe, all eager to enter the Japanese market.
When was this?
Whoa, that must have been around 2011-ish.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's not last year.
No. So, and I realized that instead of trying to figure out which companies are trying to go to Europe and try to help them, here I have a truckload of European companies wanting to come to Japan. So, idea, this is my hunting ground. So I spoke to all of them at length and at depth and ended up with a couple of customers. Of course, it took more than the trade show to get them as customers, but so that's how I started to hunt for my own customers. Going to trade shows to do that, I would say that it is very far from the most effective way of finding customers. But it's also a fun way because you meet people you met before last year or last year. You meet companies that you wanted to meet. You get new friends. I mean, you can never have too many friends. So it's a brilliant way to meet the industry and you get a feeling of what is coming next.
Yes.
That is fantastic. So that's how I started. And after that, of course, I figured out better ways to find customers. But that's when I realized that I can help customers or overseas companies find customers in Japan. I quickly ditched the startup communities. I still do pro bono seminars for startup communities and innovation hubs and what do we call them? Incubators and accelerators. Because it's always good to know that Japan exists. And I think it's a good also payback because I've been lucky to receive so many things from so many wonderful people and companies. So paying back is an important part of life. And you know, you hold a seminar and 5 years later, someone comes, hey, you held this seminar and you said that you know Japan, can you help us? And so there is a small trickle down effect from it. Or trickle-in effect, maybe I should call it.
Your case.
But the hard core truth is that the startup company does not have the budget to enter the Japanese market. You can't come here and expect to get a contract that you can live from. And you know, the EU-Japan Center for Industrial Collaboration, I know you're not from EU, so you maybe not know what they are. It's a collaboration between the EU and JETRO, basically.
Okay.
So it works both ways. European companies are invited to Japan and Japanese companies invited to Europe. And there are many different types of programs and support and everything. And the pitiful thing is that in Europe, all the political willpower is focused on small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs. And they don't have the means to come here. And the companies that have the means don't get any support, which is, yeah, you know, politicians made it. And they are not always rooted deeply in reality. They have other things on their agenda, like being re-elected or looking good to the public. So, and I understand that's their game and that's how they need to play it. But I've tried to help them see things differently, but I'm too small. They don't listen to me. But anyways, so I give up directly helping smaller companies because they can't pay. If they start paying after 6 months, they say, "Oh, we can't do this anymore," which means that I'm stuck with people that I have started dialogues with, and then suddenly I need to carry on these dialogues because I can't just stop them, and I don't get paid, which is, of course, not a bad thing per se, but in the long run, it takes a toll, and that's that. So I really prefer staying.
I'm right around there. I'm following in your footsteps, Senpai. I'm going around trade shows. I just came back from JP Morgan, making loads of friends. But they're, as you say, they're all small players that don't have the means to go to Japan right away. What I try to do is connect them to money, whether it's VCs or these new events where they could stand in front of lots of investors. For example, I shared this on LinkedIn, and I even sent the event to lots of my friends by email. And this is this Investors Day Japan on March 19th coming up. And then I'm getting feedback from my friends saying, "Oh, I applied and I got in. I know a few companies that have gotten in." So that's a great opportunity for them to, it costs them to go to Japan, but just like they go to any other trade show. But now this is very concentrated in front of quite a few investors in Japan. It's an easier way than to open your affiliate in Japan and start activities without really knowing where you're going. So
yeah, definitely
try to do.
Yeah, and so there are a few things I also, if we talk about what you choose not to do. So I chose not to work with small companies or startups. They need to have had how can you say, a hefty seed round or an A round. Otherwise, they cannot do it.
Yeah.
And it has to make logical and fiscal sense and strategic sense for them to enter Japan. So for instance, with a smaller footprint, if you're a niche CRO, Japan is your place, definitely. There has never been more R&D pipelines in Japan in history. It's insane. And so these niche preclinical CROs, this is the place to be and the time to be here. Where was I?
So little CROs, niche CROs coming to Japan. It's a great timing. Lots of pipeline.
Yeah, about the money. So you don't need that much money to be successful because pretty soon you can start tapping the Japan customer base for services and sending in.
You have to be in Japan, right?
Yeah, in Japan.
Yeah, because I get requests left and right. I'm a U.S. or European CRO for rat studies, and do you have Japanese customers? I'm saying, there's loads of them in Japan. Why would they need to, cross borders come to you? Do you have some specific model one specific disease or something that I could, promote you on.
Yeah. And there is also this thing, I see the pattern, like CROs, they get an order from Chugai, and which is the largest, second largest company in Japan. And then they get an order from Takeda. Then they get an order from Astellas. And they think we are here. But the thing is, after their delivery is done, nobody answers their emails anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is that they were chosen as a CRO because they have this niche thing that nobody else can do, or they have a platform that absolutely no one else can touch because it's proprietary. And they had this specific need, and they bought the service. But if you're not here physically, so I am here for my customers, so I'm their boots on the ground, so to speak, then I'm here, and my customers are here through me, and that's fine. So it means I can actually get what you hardly can get when you're overseas. I can get repeat business. Mm-hmm. And that is, I think, the big difference between trying to do business from overseas. You have the fly-in model. You fly in here for 1 or 2 trade shows a year, and if you've had customers, you try to meet them also, book a meeting with them. And I actually know a few companies that have succeeded with this. I won't say their names, but one is a German company. They sell specialty chemicals. And they started working here, and they found a consultant to help them. And this was like 15, 20 years ago. And it wasn't me. It was a different consultant. But they thought, not a strategic investment, which I think is how you need to see market entry. If you don't see it as a strategic investment, then you're not going to win that game. Because if you just try to go with the cheapest version, it is not going to help you win. But these guys were extremely persistent. So he would come here once or twice a year, speak to the customers that bought milligrams of chemicals and nudging them up to grams. And a few years later, he would find one more customer. And the trajectory was positive, but it took them like 15 years to get to the point where they could actually hire a person to operate Japan.
Wow.
And I when I sat down and talked to him, I said, well, if you worked with me, you would have been there in 2 years' time. Mm-hmm. Maximum. So if time is of no consequence to you, then by all means, do it yourself.
Yeah.
But if you want to get it done sooner, then you need someone to help you. Or you move here.
Sure. To climb that mountain. Definitely. So, all right. So we're talking about foreign companies coming in. Let's make it a little more general.
Yeah.
Let's pop in some questions that everybody wants to know. Like, what is the first, biggest elephant in the room that nobody sees until it jams into your face? You work with.
But I think it's what I just mentioned, that if you're not here, you are considered by the Japanese as a ghost, and ghosts come with 2 problems. Number 1, you don't know where a ghost is. It can be anywhere because you can't see it. And the second problem is you don't even know if they exist. So, so that is the issue. If you're not IBM or Microsoft, then they don't know if you exist or not. You can just put up a fake homepage and write a fake address, because there is no way that they will just travel over to Germany or France to meet you. So that's that. And I think that is one of the biggest elephants in the room. And it takes a few years to realize that.
Yeah. No, totally. You mentioned it quite a bit. It's these communication traps where you think everything's going well, but you don't know where all the landmines are, and the landmines explode without you even realizing until you lose a limb.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, as I wrote this post on LinkedIn that got they usually get like 500 views. I wrote one that got 60,000 views, and
My goodness.
it was one of my first negotiations. I came out from the negotiation. It was just the first hardcore technical presentation meeting. And I thought of it as a scoping meeting, which it wasn't. From my perspective, it was, but not from the Japanese people. And I left the meeting feeling, yes, we've got this. So I spoke to my customer and said, yes, they are so on. You can count this. This is really a win for us. There was absolutely no fit. They were just courteous. So it was a good way of learning. And I've been lucky also to have good mentors that have helped me understand. They have let me sit in on their presentations and negotiations, not saying a word, just sitting there and being asked afterwards things like, okay, did you see what important thing that did not happen? And I'm like, what? Do you need to think about those things also? Yes. So it has been a long journey, and I'm still learning, but I think I'm maybe not master, but getting there.
Well, it's one thing to sort of see that elephant slowly take form, but there must be some practices that you just hate and you want to change it. Are there any that you think you've been able to influence the Japanese counterparts and made them learn what's, I wouldn't say better, but what's different and perhaps useful for them?
When you go drinking, you can do that, but it is not going to translate into the business negotiation. And another elephant in the room is there once was a CEO who visited, and it was the third meeting with the company, and we were making progress. The relationship was good. We had the technical specifications that was a fit to their needs. We hadn't started talking about the money aspect yet. We hadn't talked about what the contract should look like or shouldn't look like. We had an NDA in place that took 2 months because the CEO of my company decided that they wanted their template, which is a waste of time, if you ask me. But in that meeting, of course, I'd briefed the CEO on what they expect and what the meeting is about and what a win looks like after this meeting is over. And it was a she said, yeah. And in the meeting, she took over completely. She tried to push and bully the Japanese people. And I'm like, oh. So there was nothing happening with that potential customer after that. And a few months later, the CEO said that it was my fault. And I said, yeah, whatever makes you happy or floats your boat. I couldn't care less. I'm not a child anymore, and I have other customers that kind of appreciate what I do. So trying to push and bully and get your way in, like sign the contract now. It doesn't even help if you say, if you buy it next week or before next Friday, you get a 50% discount. It doesn't hurry up the business-to-business model contracts. It doesn't, because they buy when they're ready. And even if they take you up on it, they will worry that, okay, a rebate, does it mean that you either priced yourself wrong, that you are more expensive than you should be, which is unethical? Or does it mean that you will service us lower quality when we get your delivery? So Japanese companies, I would say, almost never ask for a discount. They can do it during negotiations when you kind of the prices, because that is part of a negotiation. And trying to figure out of course, they are trying to figure out how to fit this into their budgets and their existing protocols and systems. And so I would say offering these fear of missing out things It doesn't work in Japan.
No.
Pushing doesn't work. Rebates don't work.
Yeah.
LinkedIn doesn't work. Cold calling, reaching out doesn't work.
Exactly. I mean, it's not just in the business sense. I mean, even I run clinical studies. You go to sites and you try to recruit patients. But global sponsors often say, well, okay, let's give them a motivation by saying, if you recruit this many more patients and you have a bonus and this and that. I'm like, you're not even contracting with the investigator. You're contracting with a site head who's got 20 studies going on. And that investigator you're dealing with who's not recruiting maybe doesn't even want to be in the study. So he doesn't want more patients, which gives him more work without more pay. So you got to motivate from different style, create a good relationship, provide more information, provide more value to him so that he wants to help you in return. So it's very different negotiation styles. In business, in operations, I think that the pattern is there. The style is very different.
Would you say all of these things are just stemming really from risk aversion?
Not really. That is one aspect. I would say the other aspect is the long-term thinking. Because so risk aversion and long-term thinking, they kind of go together.
Yeah.
If you accept small risks, it means that sooner or later they will blow up, just given time. And I'm talking about risk now in the sense of Taleb, the guy who wrote The Black Swan and Anti-Fragility. I love his books and his way of thinking, because if you think of risk as something that can kill you, then you have a good idea what risk is, and you want to avoid the things that can kill you. So that's why I don't ride a motorcycle, for instance, or jump parachuting or hang gliding. I would love to do that and deep sea diving, but one little thing goes wrong, and that's that. And same in the way of doing business. I mean, there is no country in the world that has so many centenarian companies as Japan, because they're risk averse and they take small steps and they understand risk, both in this Nicholas Taleb way, avoid the things that can kill you. I would say that they misunderstand the small risks that you should take, because the upside is great and the downside is manageable. And big companies have a tendency to see everything as risk. Like, okay, we find a new vendor for copy paper, or we need to make a deep research on the copy paper, we need to set up a committee, we need to have these meetings. I mean, it is so ineffective. And Japan is the master of inefficiency, I would say, when it comes to risk management. They have the correct understanding of big risk, the ones that can kill you, but not enough understanding of the small risks that are manageable if they blow up. And if they don't blow up, they come with a potential very nice flower arrangement.
It's a fear of making mistakes. I think it's prevalent in culture too. That's how I would see it.
Yes, you have a lot of, I mean, if you make a mistake, it's the same thing as losing your face, because the two things that matter the most in Japan is jumbi, which means preparation. It's like the national sport, who can prepare the most. And the other one is precision, that your delivery is flawless. So they have the flawless thing. In school, you learn it already from grade 1. Yeah. If you deliver to you have a test and you get 99 points, you get a triangle. If you get 100 points, you get a circle. If you get 97 points, you get a cross, which is batsu, which means you failed. So the only thing that you can show your parents is the circle. And it also kills creativity because you can only write the answers that your teacher has told you. You cannot be creative because that is only punished. And that starts in grade 1 in school.
Even handwriting, right? So there's so much emphasis on handwriting, which actually seems like it's relaxed. But I remember kanji tests for me, and like small length like would be off, and I would get it wrong, and I'm like, no, this is the same letter. Yeah, and there's that precision, but that's the double-edged sword, right? So that's the pro of Japan and the con of Japan at the same time. It's the precision.
Well, it's the reputation of Japan being very high quality and very high precision, but not necessarily high, originality. They're always good at marginal improvements and not revolutionary improvements. It's a brand. It's a way you see Japan. I mean, people appreciate the quality of Japan. I often sort of give them the other side of the medal, is that yes, this product is 120% of the other products from other countries, but to produce this 20% extra, they put in 100% more work. So from a efficiency perspective, indeed, it's not great efficiency.
You have two other countries that are very similar, Germany and Switzerland. They walk all these extra miles to put in just a little bit more precision or quality into their products. And I mean, in some installations and places, that really makes sense. But when you make cheese, for instance, I mean, if it's stinky, it's good. You don't need to have it in the perfectly square shape or round shape. That doesn't matter, at least to me. But some people, for them, it really matters. So the quality for a connoisseur would be different. And when it comes to industrial applications, if you have a manufacturing process, you don't want anything to break. You want to have yearly shutdowns for 1 week when you do all the maintenance work, all the spare part changes. So that's where it really matters. But there are so many areas where it doesn't matter, but where Germany, Switzerland, Japan still do these things that are maybe a little overboard.
I fully agree. They just don't have this mindset of efficiency. For this price, you get this quality. It's always, I don't care about the price. I want this quality kind of mindset. But some big events will change that. And one biggest example is the pandemic. Ever since the pandemic, now we do a lot more Zoom calls where people thought, you have to have that face-to-face. Yes, face-to-face is still very important. But you don't have to always go to the sites to talk to the investigators now. They open to video PSVs, pre-study visits and things like that. Now, it used to be a big taboo just a few years ago. So these events change finally. A lot of
meetings, they were not even thought of as real meetings. So can I get back to one of the things you mentioned earlier about this R&D, that they prefer to do incremental improvements and do not have so much of the big step. So I would say iPSC, it's definitely a huge step.
Yes.
But Japan being the way it is, do you know which two countries make the most money from iPSCs? It's not Japan, I tell you that. It's the US and South Korea. They make the most money from this.
Wow.
And
okay.
Yeah, and if you look at a country like Sweden, for instance, we have a plethora of companies up and coming in this area of the industry. So there are fantastic things coming out from the universities and also from the companies' R&D departments. But the commercialization phase is something that the Japanese are, because of this slowness, this thoroughness to get it perfect the first time. Whereas in my way of thinking, if you get it at least functional in the first try, you can improve. You get version 2 and version 3 and version 10. Whereas in Japan, they wait until they have version 10. And I think that has to change. And the good thing is I see some of those things happening. And for instance, the first time I went to BioJapan, the second or third time I went to BioJapan, one of the officials from the JBA, Japan Bioindustry Organization, that association that organized the BioJapan. Now there are 3 organizations, but at that time it was only one. And he came and said, Stefan, you have to see this. And he dragged me to a corner of the trade show and showed me, we have a venture company here. We have a venture company. So it's called a startup. But they were fire over this. They were on fire. They said, wow. And this year, or last year, we have a new year. Last year, I think there were like 200 startup companies. So this is a fantastic thing. The startup community that didn't exist in Japan is now existing. Having access to capital almost did not exist. If you had a very rich relative, that was the kind of capital you could get. If you walk to VCs, they will say, we only do early investments. And in that era, early investment was IPO, which kind of defies the word early. So what happened was that there were quite a few IPOs that came too early to be good IPOs. And that kind of killed a lot of VC action in Japan. But the way Japan has been, you have a lot of foreign VCs coming here and family offices and other instruments that are being deployed here. So that helps the Japanese startup community. And I think that the new generation, they, especially the ones that come from university straight to their startup, they will not be inhibited in the same way. They will still be Japanese inhibited because they're a little shy generally and little afraid to take initiative in the strong, bold way that you need to in order to succeed. But Japan being Japan, I would still say this is progress of a kind. And this has happened in the last 10 years. I find it amazing. Just imagine where we will be 10 years from now.
There you go.
We have a US that is very difficult to think of as a long-term partner. You can't even trust the regulatory there because it changes with tweets. And it just, and they're even throwing out great scientists from the US. So we have in Europe several places that are landing sites for scientists, and also Japan has a program. So for the people who are suffering in the US, come here or go elsewhere because you are welcome. And your families will be welcome as well, which is not always the case in the US. So, and I honestly think it's very sad that the fantastic infrastructure that has been built in the US is kind of being demolished because it has been a powerhouse for growth in the whole world. And now we're not. And I think that the mistake made is another analogy that I like very much. So Tetsu, you and I, we meet. You have an apple, I have an apple. I give you mine, you give me yours. We have one apple each, just as when we met. But if we're scientists, we meet, you have an idea, you give it to me, I have an idea, I give it to you. then suddenly both of us had 2 ideas.
Wow, that's amazing.
And that is what transactional people usually don't understand, the exchange of ideas. It only creates growth. And the fundamental aspect of, for instance, the US growth that made the US become such a fantastic economy was not only that they were lucky and that the people that came there from Europe and elsewhere, they were entrepreneurs. They wanted to try their luck. They were bold, brave people. And not all of them made it, not all of them even survived, but the ones who did made fortunes. And in the beginning, it was cotton and coal and oil and steel, those basic things.
Mm-hmm.
But the growth that has continued has come from application of scientific research. Without it, they would be like an African country now, unfortunately, in the bad sense of having only raw materials to sell, no refinement, no extra money coming in. And now, because the poor people of the US have an administration that tries to destroy the infrastructure, thinking that it's a good thing, saving American jobs, where the professors say, unfortunately, we have no Americans that can do this, or we don't have enough number of Americans who can do this, which is it's not because Americans are stupid, but because the amount of high-level scientists that they have accumulated from all over the world, you don't get that many bright people because the IQ is just a random game. You get the IQ you get, and then in a population you have a bell curve distribution of the tiny part of the people who are really, really the ones that can make great progress. And this might sound also a little offensive to some people, but I think it holds to objectivity. And I will also like to underline that I really think it's sad what's happening. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I can't affect it. I can only see that there are opportunities always in this world. Maybe not always the ones you want and the ones you like and the ones that are good for the long term, but there are opportunities always.
Yep, it's
Can we switch to something more positive?
Well, I'll tell you another thing that's unfortunate, and that is we are at the top of the hour.
Oh,
I would love to continue this for another 3 hours, but we're out of time. That is unfortunate. But I do want to open one more little can of. I don't want you to open an hour can, but a little hour. And I want to know, Stefan, tell us about your services, your company, how you can help people coming in to Japan. Do a little feature.
And then how to get in touch with you.
Yeah. So it's easy to find me on LinkedIn. My company is called BioSector. My name is Stefan Sandstrom. So if you find me on LinkedIn, that is one way. You can email me, but you need to look up my LinkedIn profile. Maybe I don't know, can I leave a comment somewhere? Maybe it's not necessary.
Yeah, no, we can put it on.
Okay, thank you. What I also do, or what I do is I help with market expansion. So market entry, market expansion, finding distributors, finding the regulatory consultants you need. I don't do regulatory. I help you find customers. If you don't want a distributor to do it, I can be your agent. I can set up your greenfield or brownfield office or manufacturing facility. It just depends on what you need. And very soon so this is a private company with only one consultant. Very soon we will be 2. A Danish guy.
You're going to double your workforce.
Yes. So a Danish guy who I like very much. He used to be a professor in Biotech in Copenhagen. And he has been he later studied an MBA, and he has been a very successful person to grow companies from, how can I say, from seed money to round A. and he is administratively very strong, which is maybe my weakest point. When it comes to doing all these things that there are no rule books for, that's my strength. Like, how do I find the first customer for a new product in Japan? How do I find a new partner in this field? Which KOLs would be the best ones to promote this? So I would also like to say that every customer I have is different. They need different things. And I try to, how can I say? I don't do the McDonald's thing. I don't have one shape and this fits all. Every customer is treated from the point of view of what is best to reach the goals, to win the long-term game for them.
Long-term game, keyword.
Yeah, and I churn between 3 and 7 customers per year, because when things start working, I say bye-bye. They don't need me anymore. Now that I become 2 soon, he can take over when things start working, if they need him. So I think that kind of continuation would be profitable for the customers, and I think it will be a good service, because you don't cut and walk with a new person with everything that needs to be done. But we will see. The market will determine if this is a good idea or not.
That's great. Definitely. And I hope you agree, the global collaboration between Japan and the US and the rest of the world is only getting busier and busier. We're going to have a handful of jobs, and yeah, maybe we'll be collaborating on something this year. Hopefully earlier than later. And so much for sharing your wisdom. It's been amazing. Like I said, we just don't have enough time.
Yeah, that's the way life is. So budgets everywhere. It was nice being here, and I hope someone enjoyed listening to us.
You'll see, we're gonna make little shorts from this, and the whole thing gains a lot of traction after.
Yeah, brilliant, wonderful.
All right. Well,
so I'll put up your website down here. Is this the correct website, right? On the screen?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that would be the best way to look you up.
Yes, and if you do /blog, you'll get to the blog, which kind of looks at different aspects of doing business in Japan. And I think having a good, thorough blog is much better than running around on trade shows trying to find customers, because they find me through Google and chatbots and whatever.
Indeed. So let's say adieu for now, but hopefully you'll come back to visit us again in the near future. Thank
you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, completely. Thank you so much for arranging this and inviting me.
All right, let's do it the Japanese way. お疲れ様でした。
お疲れ様でした。ありがとうございました。